escuchando?
Sí.
Boa noite, senhoras e
Good
senhores.
evening, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this new class of HTM. We would like to invite everyone to stay with us. Let's greet Heavenly Parents, true parents with a bow.
Barô. Quero convidar o pastor
I
Francisco
would
José
like to invite the Pastor Francisco Jose Marcos from Rio de Janeiro to do our initial prayer.
Vamos orar.
Join me in prayer.
Amado
Beloved
Pai celestiais,
Heavenly Parents, true parents of all heavens and humankind. And this night, sir, we are here together as brothers and sisters, centralized on your will and the will of Heavenly Parents, true parents. We
Recording in
are
progress.
here to receive your grace. Please accept our prayers and our solicitations through our acclamations. Allow the words that are gonna be share it today in this class and this environment can strengthen each one of us, each one of the participants, and that all your love and all your truth, all your word can be reflected through each one. Thank you for the efforts of our brothers and sisters, for the dedication coming from our central figure, Reverend King President Koichi. Thank you for the efforts of our pastors, missionaries, Father, coming from all blessed families, second generation. And we pray mainly for the families that are fighting in order to become Chambo families. Beloved God, please accept our prayers. We are grateful, deeply grateful for all our details that are being prepared to the building of the Chaniluk on earth. Please, Father, we are grateful for this rich opportunity. That's why I report this prayer in my name, centralize it in a blessed family. I do. Thank you, Pastor Marcus, for your prayer. Let's begin our program of today. We're gonna have two testimonies to report. The first one will be from Brazil, and the second one from Latin America, for other countries of South America. And after the presentations, the sharings, we are gonna have a Q&A section. If you wanna do any question, you can put on chat or you can raise your hand. Let's begin with a family of Mr. Paulo and Mrs. Isabel. They are affording themselves in order to become Chambo families. From Alagoas, let's give them a big round of applause to receive them.
Boa noite.
Good evening, Reverend Ken. Good evening, President Koichi, all blessed families that are gathered here today.
Nós casamos
We received the blessing in 2002 here with our central figure, Ronaldo Miranda. This is our daughter. She's second generation, is our only daughter. Even though we are going through a lot of difficulties to give the blessings, we know that people were really open to receive. Some of them greet us with tears and tell us, oh, God sent you us for us. And these exactly women that are in this picture told us that God has sent us to her because he was going into a lot of difficulties in her marriage relation. This is other woman that got turned really happy after receiving the blessings, and we could give the blessings for couples, and other days we just can do for give for 5 couples because of our time is really short, but we are at least twice a week going to give in the blessings. And we are going together as a couple to give the blessings. And here they are only receptive. They always ask us to go in their homes, and they ask us to come back and visit again. We don't have a lot of pictures, but we know that people are really waiting us. And thanks to God and the spiritual world, we're having good experiences, and always people are demonstrating, expressing their gratitude toward us.
Então, esse casal tiramos,
So we went in this home and visited this couple. We couldn't take a picture with her husband, but we know them as since a long time.
Está com 344, né?
We already have 334 couples that we already given the blessing. They received the holy wine. And this person, I already know her as well.
Afilhada, seria de 28 anos, espero levar também para a bênção.
I always hope for them.
Sueli, a pastora, né? Viu aqui?
This Mrs. Swilly, our pastor central figure, for a lot of times has supported us in these blessings too. And she's given a lot of strength, a lot of guidance in supporting us, even in some days that are really difficult to do the activities. She's motivating us. The first time that we went to road, she came with us, and it was a really good experience. She transmitted a lot of faith and strength for us, even though we have difficulties to go every day. We only need to be grateful because it's just been an amazing, overwhelming activity. And I'm loving to execute our responsibility. We only need 97 blessings remaining in order to conclude the 400 horizontals.
Muito bem, atende muito bem com toda a paciência.
And always that we have any difficulty, Mrs. Jacqueline is always supporting us. Any question, she's always calling us, even through motivation or any kind of supportness. She's really patient with us and helping every time. So I'm really grateful because of this good environment that we are creating here.
Paulo enviou 30 bênçãos, né? No dia que a gente completou 200 bênçãos, aí foi o dia que
in the day that we accomplished the 200 blessings.
Doado bênção, né? Se tem a bênção, ela disse que tinha 30 bênçãos, então doou pra gente, né? Passou pra gente.
I asked her.
Passou 230. E a gente faz.
Okay, sorry. So in the day that we accomplished 200 blessings, she presented us with 30 blessings. So we finished with the result of 230 blessings. That's why I'm really grateful to Mrs. Jacqueline as well. And I'm really grateful towards your parents and heavenly parents just because of this opportunity, because we could meet the providence on earth. So I'm really grateful for that.
97, 14 de junho de 97, né? E nós recebemos uma graça, foi abençoada, né? 2002, né? Fevereiro, 16 de fevereiro de 2002.
In February of 2002, we could give birth to our second generation daughter. And I'm really grateful to be part of this history and be a blessed family. I just have more topics and themes to be grateful towards God. Thank you so much.
Adieu.
Obrigado.
Thank you for this presentation. And now let's receive the testimony coming from Argentina. They are a blessed family from Argentina. Let's receive them with a big round of applause. Good evening. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for this reception. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing, Holy Community of South America? And together we are gonna share our experiences together with true parents, heavenly parents. We are grateful for the opportunity that we received to become Chambo family. We're gonna greet first present ourselves. My name is Jorge, and I'm from Argentina. My wife is from Brazil, Alagoas State. She entered the church with 15 years old. We received the blessing from her parents in 1992, 30,000 couples blessing. We just put two pictures that you can see that we are already have 50 years. We are already 15 years old. We are not young anymore, as in the picture of the blessing. We have two children, and he came with 24. He received the blessing with Jennifer. And we have other daughter, but they received the blessings as well. And his wife is from Argentina as well. And the other son received the blessing with a girl from Paraguay. Now we're gonna share something about our 100 days activities, especially with my family in Argentina. And we will present our trinities. The first trinity is composed by our two children, the couples of each one of them. The second one is with my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law as well. And our 33rd trinity is with our spiritual children. The activities with the tribal Messiah, we began in December of the last month. We began by teaching them the ideology of true parents. It's been an activity really slowly with a lot of steps, but bit by bit we are seeing the results, the incomes of this activity. And now you can see in that picture they watching a video of true parents. And we always prepare something like a lunch, a coffee break as well to support of the studies. As I already said, is a activity that we need to invest a lot of attention and Johnson to. And we are working in order to them to receive the blessings of Hanulpamanim. Those are some activities that were being held during the year, throughout the year. And this is in Buenos Aires because we live here. And where we live is more or less almost 2 kilometers far from the church. This is an event that were held some years ago. Was a lunch with the representatives of the municipality, President Carlos Vargas, Gustavo Giuliano, traveled through now 50 cities of Argentina. Was kind of a campaign of the true values. Those are my brothers, and I was given a lecture. I distributed some biographies of your father. And bit by bit, we are working by the online platforms. Sometimes we have some difficulties due to the time as well. And I'm with my aunt that already received the biography of true parents, of true father. And our current activities, this picture is the holy wine being given to an aunt as an activity of the whole HTM activities. And thanks to Heavenly Parents and True Parents, we already concluded the 430. We know that there's a lot to be done as well, but we need to prepare them to receive the blessing. Here in Argentina, when someone receives the blessing, we are taking a picture with this flyer called United Families Campaign, and we always take a picture with this flyer of this campaign. As you can see in all pictures we are taking with this flyer. This is my daughter-in-law, my nephew, my sister, my aunt and uncle. I know it's really slowly and takes a lot of patience. Some of them live so far from us, but baby, they are accepting. It's a really slow process. They are being receiving a blessing through the holy wine, we know, but we are investing in them. And now I'm gonna pass for my wife to share something as well. She will explain something about the witnessing in our current time. Good evening, everyone. I would like to be grateful for this opportunity that we are having to share. Even though we don't have a big result, we are just grateful to have parents and true parents. So first of all, I would like to greet my tribe. I would say who they are. They are members of our church. In this first picture, there's a lot of relatives, brothers, sisters, nephews. Some of them are blessings. Everyone's, most of them are second generation. And here in this picture, my sister with her husband, with their children are second generation. My other sister in that picture. In the last picture, I have my sister Apolonio Dantes. There's really Neil, together with her wife and their children. And all of us, we are spiritual children from our elder brother Apolonio. And my sister-in-law has always supported us in this process. So it was what I wanted to share. This is an amazing activity, and this amazing activity and process that my brother has had during this whole time. This is an activity that we held before the COVID-19 pandemic. We already had asked for permission, asking our central figure, our president, of how to execute this activity, and he already allowed us to do activities in the national HQ. And this development of those activities has kept the attention, catch the attention of other blessed families as well. And we prepare some flyers with pictures of our church, sorry, and the persons were passing by were keeping attention, and they were coming close in, entering in the church, and for some of them we were reading the divine principle, doing what you want. They were keeping, they were getting inspired, and we had the support of other blessed families as well. We were doing the initial prayer. We always tried to take pictures of each activity that was being held in our institution. And we proposed we proposed that we could form groups of our families to visit families that were in somehow distant from our church. And we began to organize workshops to support these activities of witnessing. And finally, the project of 130 horizontals finally began, and we just began to go home by home, give the holy wine. Everything that I just mentioned was held before the COVID-19 pandemic. And as my husband already mentioned, we always take a picture with this flyer of United Families campaign. And all the families, we ask for them to fulfill a form with their dates in order to us to enter again in contact, reconnect with them. Those pictures were taken in Buenos Aires. All families that we approach, I don't know if it's lucky, but they always receive us with a really open heart, and they turn really glad to receive the holy wine, the prayer. And we know the pandemic came, and in Argentina, the current poll, the current scenario is anything easier and not something simple. And we know even though it's hard to do this ongoing job, we know that everyone that is gathered here is important and committed and perceiving themselves in order to continue it. So what I think is that we just passed through an inner revolution with a lot of determination and commitment. We could advance. I think it's happening with everyone in here because we truly needed to be obedient, absolutely obedient, to keep up everything, even into this catastrophic circumstances. In Argentina, it's really cold. Everything was closed. No one was in the squares, on the street. We know. Externally saying, it was a really hard situation, really hard circumstances. But after a lot of Johnson and offering of devotion, we motivated ourselves, me and my husband, and we were going. We just went at the roads, even into the pandemic, even into the cold, but always asking God for inspiration, asking our good ancestors, the powerful ones, to be with us and inspire us. And just incredible how they show us the people. They show us the one who truly needed. And while we are walking, we ask them, and this is a miracle. I can tell you with sure. For sure, this is a miracle. We know that when we are doing anything with her and truly determine ourselves and offer to God, Heavenly Parents and God, the miracles happens. Even though in the depth of our heart we can't truly understand where it's being told by traveling parents, even though we do not know truly the essence of the strategy, we need to continue. And as we do it with absolute obedience, anything can be done. And in our current moment, we are at 6 degrees, and we wear a lot of clothes, gloves, and to protect us from the cold. But in this way we goes, and we can see as God support us, because we're doing with heart as a volunteers, as a staff, as soldiers of God. what I'm really wondering and appreciating here is my brother and my sister-in-law, and they already are more than 65 years old, and they are going with us, and we are much more younger than them. Even though they are more older, they are supporting us sometimes with much more of energy than us. They are motivating us, and this make me feel really grateful and appreciate much more them. And once again, I would like to thank all of you that are hearing our presentation. And we would like to commit ourselves once more to continue. We, with a lot of sacrifice as everyone in here, we got to accomplish the 430 horizontals. And we are preparing some of them to receive the buses. And there's not too much remaining to be done until this September 11th, the day of the registration. And without our children, without we would not accomplish anything. And we have a younger son, and that's why I need a support of my older daughter. My husband works every day. Thanks to God, he have something to work that we can maintain our home and support the Women's Federation as active members. So in these circumstances, we are doing everything that we can, going straight and devoting a lot of prayers, because we know that it's only possible if we offer a lot of prayers and invite it every day, every moment, our good ancestors, in order for them to support and help us. We know that this victory is not ours, but this victory is of heavenly parents, true parents, and for the heavens. I would like to great for my sister from Alagoas. I am from Alagoas as well. And I love my Brazil, and I love Alagoas. That is my homeland, where with lives my wonderful families, where I come to know the church. Thank you so much.
Muito obrigado pela
Thank
apresentação.
you for this presentation.
Surpresa no final, que ela é brasileira. Nem
We
parecia.
got surprised
Espanhol.
at the end. We didn't knew that she was Brazilian because she's speaking really well Spanish. So let's move in our program for our Q&A question. If any participant has any questions, please, you can raise your hand or you can put on chat and we are gonna liberate your microphone. Mrs. Vera, can you make your question? She's just arranging maybe her microphone, I think. Just waiting here.
Senhora Vera Mussi, pode fazer sua pergunta, por favor?
Parece que temos pequeno problema.
It seems that we have some technical issues with this first question. If anyone wanna do one question, just raise your hands. We're gonna habilitate your microphone. Maybe Mrs. Butter is arranging something.
Ok, então, aparentemente não temos outra pergunta.
Okay, apparently we don't have any other questions, and unfortunately we couldn't resolve the problem with Mrs. Betta, and that's why we are gonna advance in our program. Let's receive the words of the national leader of Brazil, President Koichi. Let's receive him with a big round of applause. Good evening, everyone. Hope you can listen me well. Thank you so much for your testimonies. They are really great. You're doing a really good job, and I can recognize you. Thank you so much. As Robert King has been really busy, he asked me to share something here. I guess that in Brazil, I had already explained it with more details, but regarding the South American members, I don't think that I already have a lot of opportunities to share this content, but I have some topics to share today. So any activity, any project, we need to mobilize the spiritual world. All our whole life, true father has done it. He did it throughout his whole life. The mobilization of a spiritual world. I hope you can see the screen, the PPT. So a lot of times I share it this situation that we had a lot of merit that heavenly parents, true parents has already established, especially because true mother has established the firm establishment of Cheonilguk. So the era changed each time that that true father with the true mother has gained victory in earth. A big impact was happening in spiritual world. It changed its structure. Even in the physical world, maybe we cannot see, but in the spiritual world, this is happening. Once with I experienced that spiritual phenomena 20 years ago, my one sister of one blessed family become that was my spiritual children appeared, and she told me that her grandfather has ascended for the spiritual world, and he came and told her during the HTM activities, and she was doing witnessing to her relatives. Some were like catechists, other was Christians, and they couldn't receive the revelation because it was really strong, their concepts of their religions. But this same person, the sister, were doing a lot of Johnson. There is Faith Foundation, and in order to execute the substantial victory with the union with central figure. Johnson, Faith Foundation, and the Substance Foundation is the union with our central figure. And activity. Activity is not the substantial foundation. I already repeated a lot of times. And she could restore her brothers and sisters, but her real difficulty, her main difficulty was her parents, because they couldn't accept due to their catechist concept faith. But with the substantialization of the union of her with her central figure, and with fasts and prayers, with a lot of serving for the sake of others, loving day and night, she did everything that she could. But a limit arises. Definitely, her parents couldn't accept the true parents. But she overcame her level of Johnson. But her physical mother has an experience. Her grandfather came from the spiritual world and appears for them, and he reincarnated in someone that was in that environment, and told the mother of the sister with were witnessing that she was her mother. And he told, can't you believe it? When you were a child, it happened. That was our home. So she began to spell everything that happened in her childhood, and she didn't stop. In that moment, her mother of the sister with were witnessing she followed in tears. She just believed it. It was a miracle. She couldn't not believe it. She couldn't deny, because it was her mother spelling everything that happened in her childhood. No one couldn't do it, only her mother. So that's the reason why she accepted. So that's why I say always for the members, you cannot only have some short and easier goals to say you just need to receive the blessing. No, this is not the point. The point is you should receive the blessing, and after, except for your parents, you need to advance in your life of faith course. But in some example, what happened is that the member become a blessed family, and then after that he told his parents, you should be strengthen your life of faith course, and then this person goes more often for the Catholic Church. But that's not the point. There's a lot of situations like that. They were when that our physical family cannot understand divine principle. But in the spiritual world, we know do not exist other religions, because true parents already broke the boundaries between religions. There's only one thing that exists there. The heavenly parents, true parents, is the only thing that exists in the spiritual world. It was a phenomenon that happened. And sometimes before what happened, true father has already declared that he God to broke this boundary, and this effect was going to be expressed in earth. And true father declared, I was the one who broke and removed the boundaries between religions. It was already solved in the spiritual world. With the time, as past the time pass, it will be reflected here in the physical world. My central figure was serving true parents directly impersonal, and he did the same report. And true father already was really glad, because he saw that other members were realizing and experiencing this same declaration that he did. In this way, the merit of this era is present. It exists, but sometimes we cannot realize. But it is a really big difference in between the eras. Could you imagine the victory of 2020? During this 7 years course, the dedication of True Mother, she always says that she was like in an
Não sei por onde começar, como vai fazer, qual o jeito ganha a vitória de padrão de resolução nacional.
She told us that this course seemed as a desert. She didn't truly know how to do it. What was to her to restore 7 nations was like to found a needle in the middle of the sandstorm, and she just subdued. Prophet Adib was invited to him to go to South Africa and Johannesburg, and then after she was invited for the president of São Tomé and Príncipe, and she could declare the victory. She could declare the victory of the 7-year course. Even though it was a really short time of declaration, the structure and the spiritual work changed. Just change it. That's why we have this a lot of merit, as you can see in this PPT, this whole red, a name on behalf of heavenly parents. We gained a lot of victory. We received a lot of condition because it was already declared. Sometimes we think that Satan just sent this COVID-19 for the world. There's a lot of competition and battles being traced in the spiritual world. And Satan tried to, a lot of times, tried to kill True Father, even though he didn't have motivations. And when Satan beats with more strange, even though he can't, but he does, God's side gains more victory. And this is what is happening in our current moment, a battle between God and Satan. And because Satan beat it with more strength and True Mother, and she persevered, she went ahead, she liberated this whole merit. Once a member dreamed that a bad spirit was doing a meeting of a strategy to
Espírito mal no mundo espiritual sabe horário, que de acordo com condição que a verdade vai se estabelecer,
that these bad spirits were trying to trick a member, and they kept telling between themselves, oh, we have deadline to do it, because they know what is the providence and what is going on. As this share that I did of this catechist mother, but she already became a member. Until today, they are members. But as I told you, you can see the presence of the spiritual world, and why I am telling you this that happened 20 years ago. Can you see the power of the spiritual world in that time? Could you imagine what is gonna happen right now with this whole merit? If we subdue Satan naturally, if we offer enough conditions for God, the heavenly parents, can you imagine how many spiritual phenomena can happen? Even though we have this whole merit, the phenomena can be held. We know that even though we have all this merit, will exist persons will deny this reality. And it's possible to happen the same that happened with the catechist mother that I just mentioned. and it happened 20 years ago. And today the merit is as this whole red in this picture. And that day, with the true mother has declared the victory of 20 years. She did Satan lost his pensions, and he was really anxious because he realized that that condition was a really big one. And after that, Satan already knew what Jesus was going to do until 2027. Each time more, the time his situation is getting worse. This is what I'm explaining now. Before mobilize the spiritual world, we need to clearly know that the spiritual already exists, that is supporting us and HTM activities on earth. But if we don't believe, if we don't think, if we don't do a reciprocal relationship, if we don't ask, it will not happen. If we do not have an idea in our mind, it will not be possible to mobilize the spiritual world. And the ones who do not know how to mobilize the spiritual world will prepare themselves, will find themselves in this situation. Currently, this do not happen, but for this person that do not have faith, he cannot recognize this big merit of the years, but he understood in this way that is a reality for him because he understands. But the reality in the spiritual world depends on the reciprocal relationship. It depends on the thoughts. If you believe in this way, it will be the reality for this person. But in the spiritual world, it works in that way. The maximum that will be possible in this way of this belief will be like when a spirit appeared, an absolute good spirit. One person in your mind in that way. Heavenly parents exist. This person has the picture of heavenly parents in his homes, and somehow he understands and believes that some angels are flying their home. But if you understand in this way, this is your capability to understand the spirit, to mobilize spiritual world. But there's other reality that is absolute. And if you already believe, it can be true for you and truly happen. And then one day ago, some days ago, we were doing Hondoke, and the spiritual world revealed, look back behind this member, and more than seven ancestors were accompanying that meeting, and other member didn't had any ancestor behind him, and the member asked why she has and he do not, and the spirit told her it's because she accept and she believe, and the other one do not. So in the spiritual world, it works in that way. If you believe, okay, it will exist for you. If do not, it will not. And Reverend King is always emphasizing when you are walking, when you are eating, when you wake up, please establish a reciprocal relationship. Claim the name of Heavenly Parents to parents. Do not give any chance to establish bad relationship with bad spirits. Always strengthen your relation with God, because the layers will arises into within your body, and the level of the quantity of our spirits around you will decrease. It will really happen, and that way you can live using as much as you can of this merit of this era. So how does this person restore her whole family's mother, brothers, mother, everyone become members? As I told you, as I mentioned, she did everything step by step. Faith foundation, prayer, vows, fasting, reading, 100K. So she established those conditions, and after that, she established a substantial foundation, perfect union with her central figures, and she overcome it and win it, removing fallen nature, loving her central figure. She established exactly and perfectly these two conditions. And when she gained this victory in both foundations, the two together, it becomes a foundation to reconnect with the Messiah. And then he gained this condition of reconnection with the Messiah, and then the merit of coming from two parents arises in him and allow it God to works strength in his HTM activities. Once more, foundation of faith, the foundation of substantial foundation is the foundation to connect with the Messiah, my connection with him. So we can use the merit of heavenly parents to parents in order to gain result in our HTM activities. Not only use your prayer or your fast, and the truth that your fast and realize, to be honest, okay, your prayer and fast is part of the condition. It brings result as well, but other way there is more effective is to use the condition of and then to use the condition that your parents established of pay indemnity. But do you think that is bigger, your individual efforts of offer conditions, or do you think that use the condition that your parents has paid as indemnity condition? What do you think is more bigger? Inherited his condition, right? Yes. In name of Koichi, for example, Satan will go. Do you think that he will go in my name? But in name of Heavenly Parents Party, he will for sure. I truly believe in that. And so in this way, if you truly learn and understand how to use the merit of true parents that they have established, it will change everything for all brothers and sisters, blessed families, everyone at the same time during some months, less than 1 year, restored everything. Everyone became a member. Why this just come to be true? Because they did everything step by step. Faith foundation, substantial foundation, and establish the foundation to receive the Messiah. Some persons understand in the really bad, in the really wrong way. Some of them just believe that activity, pure activity is the substantial foundation, but activity is just the action. It is not the substantial foundation. The substance foundation is other thing. From the So together, these two foundations establish the foundation to receive the Messiah. We do properly is because you are already mobilizing the spiritual world. It is automatic. So in this way, you can use this whole result. Anything, if you understand in this way, your activity will be more effective. The result will be different. True Father says your activity will be different, incredible if you learn this way, this manner. True Mother always said total investment, determination of life or death. This word True Father has used it a lot of times, and True Mother right now in our current moment is telling us, emphasizing us every time through total investment. When you broke the boundary of your emotional, spiritual, and physical boundaries, when you arrive at your limit, is humanistic, impossible. Even though when you say, I did everything, I love it a lot, I did prayer, I gave a lot of lectures, I gave a holy wine, I did everything, but in no way, this person cannot accept. How do I do? If this person is in the limit, after all the effort and total investment, and that true, he is near of the victor. He thinks that he failed, but God thinks that it's just 1 minute at the victor, far from the victor. So before arrives the victor, God and Satan cannot decide the game. But once more, you are advancing and investing everything, serving, loving, sacrificing more and more, and you are rejected by the guests, and they are hard to be convinced humanistically, saying it's impossible to do anything else. And each more time more you are arriving to the limit, you are attaching Satan, and they are really serious to decide the game. And the last moment arrives that you just fall at the floor and tell God, I already did everything. When the members arrive at this point that just fall at the floor and repeat other times that I am the limit, and the limit is keep investing and falling in tears too. In this situation, when it happens, when you accomplish your 100% of responsibility, God can guide you, and He said, this is my time now. I'm gonna do my responsibility in this moment. So when we arrive at this point, the miracle can be held. Doesn't matter the member, doesn't matter how problematic was the circumstances, this person would just change. He will come and said, I'm gonna go for the lecture, I'm gonna go to activities. This is witnessing. It happens in all activities. This is a truth, this is a reality. And then we can go in this fear that God can realize and recognize that we have done more than our responsibility. And when we arrive at this point, God can say, you had done everything. You did everything you could have ever done. In this moment, that God can do it is because Satan already lost all his conditions, so he's just quiet. He cannot react. He cannot advance anything, because this member already broke all the boundaries and he loved it absolutely. His faith continued even though Satan has beaten up him. Even though Satan has beaten a lot, he couldn't change and love, and he couldn't change his heart standard towards this member. So the reason that Satan cannot accuse anymore. And this point, God can react. And this member naturally will subdue Satan. And God will arise and said, right now is my time. Isn't the last time that God can do it. So in order to become this kind of member, we need to execute those points here. So this is a word of Heavenly Parents to Parents of the book, The Will of God in the Word. You can't imagine how much indemnity I already have paid in order to achieve this point. I have seen so serious. Prison is not a problem. Torture is not a problem. Be in jail, it is not a problem. I've been working in silence for years with the risk of my life, yearning for the time where I could establish and clarify everything I know. My seriousness inspired God. God couldn't, but He sympathized with me, even though I cannot. I need to be in silence. Mediums in the world will work in my benefit. They are mobilizing the spiritual world to the success in all areas of the world. So True Father said that God united with him. He got sensible, moved. So that's why True Father says that you need to take a position that God can feel sympathy for you. So if he can if he felt scared, and God needs to ask himself, are you doing this for me at this level? You love me in that level. You did more than you were supposed to. Satan cannot beat up more in you anymore. It's done. Until this point, this is the sphere that we need to go in, the sphere that God can feel moved by you. And he felt that he need to help you. This is the same to the spiritual world. Before to ask for help, spiritual world need to think, oh yes, he is sacrificing himself, we need to help him. It's called subdued naturally. We need to naturally subdue Satan. We need to subdue the spiritual world. We need to subdue Cain, Satan. We need to subdue all levels of Cain. We need to subdue all situations, and Heavenly and True Father had restored everything, not restoring by miracles. True Father avoided to use the miracles, because if he used the miracles, he was not restored. Restored, okay, but given, but accumulating debit. But the only single way of True Father was to restore through identity by subjugating naturally, not using miracles as Jesus, but he waited, came to God emotionally moved, and naturally came to execute his responsibility after to see all the sacrifice of heavenly parents, true parents, and of God. And Father followed in tears, but instead of accusate Cain, and he never returned with arguments. He responded with tears, and with the tears, and he never left his position of father, even the enemy, even towards the enemy. That's why there was a turning point where the conscience of Satan couldn't support, and when True Father arrived at the limit of the conscience and the heart of Satan, he couldn't attack anymore True Father. In his original mind, the original mind of Lucifer told True Father, you are already done. You did everything. I cannot do anything more. So subjugating and through naturally subjugating Satan, no one will lose anything. And True Father always carried more weight cross, representing the love of God, influenced Cain and subjugated naturally him. After that, the spiritual world began to witness and immobilize people. And after True Father asks, spiritual world were working to protect True Father with total investment. When you arrive at the limit of your physical body, it's impossible to don't fall in tears. When the spiritual world saw the tears of the humans with True Father, they recognized that True Father was truth. And they entered at the sphere where God felt moved. And then all that energy mobilized God, not only the spiritual world, but God. The entire life of True Father, he was mobilizing the spiritual world and God. The Father said, before I asked God, he was helping me, because he is falling in love with me, because he can't forget me due to the whole love that I offered to him. I know that every time he is falling in tears towards me, he cannot go far from me. This is the kind of lifestyle of God. So please analyze the topic 6 of the family pledge. He lived in that way, and that is telling that the Holy Families need to mobilize the heavenly fortune in order to restore the nation. And then after that, we can
recording stopped.
We can came to achieve the miracles, overcoming the limit of Satan, executing our responsibility. And then after that, God can say, I can do my part now. So I need to finish once again this word of True Father. Please imagine what he lived. All the words of True Father is filled with blood and tears. Let's imagine True Father life. You can imagine how much indemnity I have already paid in order to achieve this point. I have been so serious. Prison is not a problem. Torture is not a problem. Being in jail is not a problem. I've been working in silence for years with the risk of my life. With the risk of my life, yearning for the time where I could clarify everything at once. My my seriously life has inspired God, and He was moved by me. Even though I can be in silence, mediums in all world we work and my benefit, they will mobilize the spiritual work for the success of all areas of the world. Book the will of God and the world. True Father, if someone think that I'm held in a lot of activities and I can broke boundaries and doing a lot of things that can result, and there's a lot of time that I'm really unmotivated and my results are always more or less and I cannot have a lot of results, please imagine how much imagine how was the lifestyle of True Father. It's something really emotional. There's any moment that he was unmotivated because he was always at the risk of life or death in order to love God, always with tears, true tears offering them. And God was always with him. Always he was inspired by God. That's the reason why he was at the front line forever the world. That's why we miss him. Our lifestyles need to arrive at this point, learning, following the love of true Father, the example of having parents to parents, living the same lifestyle as them. If this is our goal. If we do, we can break the boundary of anything. If we can come and achieve and bring victory to them. Let's let's bring victory in this second registration, if not in this, the third, and continue liberating our ancestors. Always that we have opportunity, we need to invest everything. Okay, so let's gain victory in all the ways. All our members of Latin America and HTM activities witnessing and substantialization of for 30 spiritual children or more, liberating ancestors, blessing our ancestors, registering on heavens. All blessed families of South America need to become Chambo families. And let's register our family in heavens, and let's advance and base it on this foundation for their national restoration. It depends on the number of blessed families that register in the seven Chambo. Dependable is dependable on this number, it will open the gate to the national restoration. Let's gain victory in 2022 and 2023 and substantialize everything in 2027. And the third course after 2027 will be a wonderful course. We need to see this and the earth. Let's advance in the third to the last course of 7 years. I do. Today, we only need to gain victory in HTM activities in our Messiah tribal. Any solicitation of True Mother, let's do with our all whole efforts. I would like to bless all brothers and sisters of South America. I would like to finish my words now. Thank you so much. Could you make a prayer for us? Okay, join me prayer. Heavenly parents, beloved true parents of earth and heavens, we are grateful once again because you has allowed us to be here, even though we are not the best persons, but we are. You had asked us to be here in this war, this sacred war of the Israel people that knows your will, your words, knows your tears, your hurt, and knows who are the Messiah. Please, sir, we know that you allow us to receive the blessing to convert our lineage. You invited us to be your daughter and son, being saved from Satan. And today, a name of blessed families that receive the big blessing, the big salvation, changing their lineage, a name of daughter and son of true parents that has the lineage. We know that we need to be in the front line to go in front of this better battle, restoring life is and restoring each time more life is through our HTM activities, because the Messiah exists to save persons, and we need to be messiahs in front our tribes and accomplish our missions of Messiah as Messiahs. We need to bring victory for you, God, and register ourselves in the heavens as quickly as possible. Based on this foundation, we will restore our nation. As Mother has said, 1/3 of the humankind need to be restored, and then you recognize the Messiah before you go to the spiritual world. So South America, heavenly South America, needs to minimum restore 1/3 of this continent in name of true parents. We need to gain to pass the to persons your victory using the divine principle word. Heavenly parents, please help all the brothers and sisters that are gathered here in order to them to really gain victory. 430 horizontals, 43 substantials, liberation blessings, and at the end we need to contribute for the national restoration of each country. Please bless this next period of time until our meeting. Please receive this prayer for this name, this prayer in my name, called Jesus. I keep. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for the assurance testimonies to our president, Coach, for the words. Let's greet to parents with a vow.
E aos verdadeiros pais. Chonjin Champoni, que Gambé. Barou. Obrigado a todos, tenham uma boa noite. Nos encontramos na próxima aula do Messias Celestial. Podem abrir os microfones.
Obrigado.
Boa noite a todos.
Boa
noite.
Obrigado.
Boa noite.
Obrigado.
Boa noite a todos.
Tchau, até amanhã.
Então, Regina, até já. Ô, Silci! Lá pra te pegar.
Boa noite, senhora.
Tchau a todos.
Ô, Pastor Márcio, na casa do Renato Aragão e Pastor Márcio.
Coach, vamos caprichar mais.
E aí, Dezimar?
Eu vou
Boa noite para todos.